Welcome to the first What's the Score of 2021 in anticipation of Everton's home game against Rotherham in the FA Cup. Midday kick-off on Saturday, not the ideal time to kick off a game, but it's lower league opposition, so we'll talk about that a bit later on. I am joined by Matt Jones and Sue Smith. Everyone have a good Christmas and New Year?
Yeah, really good, thanks.
Yeah, it was all right, mate, wasn't it? Yeah, it was helped by
aside from the toffees, obviously, little fly in your...
Yeah, it was good up until New Year's Day, wasn't it? I suppose. But,
yeah,
not too bad. Just on that, Sue, Les mentioned there about the midday kickoff. That must have been horrible when you're a footy player playing at that time.
Oh, yeah, do you know, the worst bit of it is like, when do you eat and what do you eat? I know that sounds really bizarre, but you know, like normally, like my pre-match would probably be like a jacket potato, like some chicken and beans, and you just think like having that at 9 o'clock in the morning just doesn't sit well. So yeah, it'd be like more of a porridge or something like that. But yeah, it's a 12 o'clock for some reason. Like 2 o'clock's fine, 3 o'clock's fine, but yeah, 12 o'clock is just a little bit early. But you've got the rest of the day, I suppose you can think after that when you finish.
It's a Sunday league kick-off time, that, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
Off at 11 on a Sunday morning, and then the kids would kick off at 2 in the afternoon. And it's like, surely we around, put the kids in the morning and the fellas in the afternoon. Some dreadful scenes on the sidelines at Sunday League. People clearly hadn't been home from the night before, turned up and got the kit on. Character building, though.
Yeah, I'm sure Sue was far too professional for anything like that. Right?
Of course. I've heard some stories, though, a few of my mates. Yeah, you know, where they said, "Oh, come and watch us on a Sunday," and yeah, I've gone down, and they've got like the pizzas from the night before that they'll have like as they're going on, or they'll have it at half time. I'm like, oh no.
Yeah, the lads used to turn up with boxes of chicken nuggets and everything.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I don't know how they do it.
What's women's football? What was women's football like at that level? Because like I manage Hoylake now with a kids team, and in the last couple of years, their girls game was just like grown exponentially. It's just like blown up completely. Yeah. Loads of girls playing that. So I imagine sort of moving into open age from now, it would be quite popular, girls football at open age. But what was it like sort of when you were around like sort of 16, 17?
Yeah, there wasn't that many opportunities. And I think, you know, as a young girl growing up, I was like literally the only girl that played football where I lived, and I'm still known now as like the girl that plays football or used to play football now. And yeah, it was odd, you know. I'd go on and I'd go out with my cones and set my cones out and do my training and stuff. And yeah, people would think it was a bit weird, you know, that a girl was actually doing that. Whereas now you obviously see it all the time, don't you? And just, yeah, the opportunities. I suppose I had to play for a boys team because there wasn't any girls teams to play originally for. And yeah, it's just all changed, and that professionalism's changed as well. So yeah, you'd probably get, I don't know, you know, girls would just go, and I suppose similar to Sunday League, you know, where they just go and they turn up and they might have been out the night before and stuff. But yeah, it's just not like that at all now, which is great. And that's one reason I didn't really move down a level. You know, I sort of stopped at the top because like I am quite professional, so I'd hate that. You know, if my teammates had been out and I could still smell ale on them from the night before, yeah, I'd be telling them off. So yeah, I couldn't move down a level because that still happens, of course. You know, that's some girls just want to play football just for fun, but I was always about winning. Had to win no matter what. I'm still like that five-side, so
I would have been the total opposite. I would have been like, right, I'm going to just go and like batter all these now by they're all hanging. This professional player, like, yeah, and I'll show you. I've still got it. Make me feel a feet tall.
To be fair, I should have thought of it like that.
I was right in thinking that Everton's last midday kickoff was Leicester at home. That our last midday, New Year's Day, when everyone had been on the L before that game, players included.
That was the game
that
we scored. Kean getting the board, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it
usually 12:30, aren't they? But midday, as Sue said, I think that seems just a little bit too early. Yeah. You're still getting over your brekkie.
Horrible one, that. Yeah. It's just a bit weird, isn't it? You know, you're getting the team news at 11 o'clock in the morning. It just you know, at a time of year as well where you sort of forget what day it is. It just knocks it, doesn't it, for the rest of the day.
We're going to be all over the shop by Saturday afternoon. Just before we go into that game, then we'll look at some possible transfer incomings and outgoings at Everton. So one surprising story for me was that Rustin Drent has found a new club, obviously ex-Everton player, sort of mired in Everton folklore. He's joined Racing Murcia.
Did you see the picture of him?
Yeah.
I know we're talking about players that like they've been on the aisle.
I don't think he stopped since he was at Everton, did he? But yeah, you know, a good news story for him, obviously without a club, and he just been declared bankrupt as well. So he's obviously going through a bit of a rough time of it. Only 33 as well. So good to hear that he's got a club.
He's only 33?
Yeah.
He's been around for ages.
So he was a really young player when he came to us.
Yeah.
Umonias is still without a club, isn't he?
Yeah. You're advocating getting him back.
As well. Got to be more mobile than Big Cenk at the minute, hasn't he? Everton strikers PSG in talks with Everton over a £31 million deal for Kean. What are people's thoughts on that one? What do you reckon, Sue? Would you think he should come back, and where's your sit on this one?
Yeah, do you know, I'd probably quite like to see him come back. I think just when you look at like the options that we've got off the bench, you just mentioned Cenk Tosun, and he offers something a little bit different, doesn't he? The fact he can play out wide, he can play up top. So I'd like to see him come back, and I'd like to see him, you know, really give it a good go. I just can't see that happening. 31 million, I don't know. Would you take that? Probably, but they don't have to rush. So could they bump that up a little bit? So could that be the starting point? Maybe get a little bit more, because he's got to be happy, as he's got to want to come back. He's got to want to prove a point. He's got to want to play for Everton, and that's a big thing, isn't it? You want him to be happy. If he's happy, he'll be performing. But yeah, I wouldn't take a loss on him, but I would love to see him come back. I'd love to see him do well. I just don't think that'll happen.
Yeah.
So take the money and run.
Yeah. In that instance, we wouldn't lose any money on him, because I think we signed him for 29. So it'd be a slight. I mean, even then, when we got him at 29 million, everyone sort of looked at it and thought, well, why has he gone so cheaply? Because, you know, for a player of, you know, coming from Juventus, of his reputation as a young up-and-coming Italian striker, it did seem cheap. So again, letting him go for 31 million pound would seem quite cheap again. I don't know. What do you think on that, Matt?
I think it's just one of them where sometimes you can just, it's no one's fault really. It just doesn't feel like it's going to work out. So, you know, you could sort of see a situation where maybe in like a year's time, he's established at PSG, you know, maybe they're, you know, behind Mbappe up front and he's scoring like 15, 20 goals and everyone's saying, oh, why do we let him go? But sometimes it just doesn't work out like that. You know, sometimes players come to clubs a bit too soon. You know, they don't quite settle in. They haven't got the right manager. And I think we're in a situation now where if they got offered 31 million, and, you know, I know what you're saying there about it being cheap for him. You know, he's scoring goals, doing well there, isn't he? I think for me, it's one of them where it is a bit of a gamble. If you said, well, we'll readdress this in the summer, actually, PSG, because I think there's a situation there where I think Icardi's been injured for a lot of the season. So he's going to be coming back. And you'd imagine someone like him really paid 60 million euros for in the summer to get him on a permanent deal, will be ahead of Kean in the pecking order. Pochettino might come in and look at him and say, you know, albeit he scored last night, a few weeks further down the line, you're not for me. And then his stock might fall a little bit. So I can sort of see why they might be tempted to get this boxed off now. And as much as I don't like doing this, and I've said this on a couple of shows this week, I don't want to be the boring financial fella in the room, but Everton's balance sheet showed a £140 million loss for the last 12 months. And if you can make a profit on a player that scored 2 Premier League goals for us, doesn't really look that interested being here, has had his disciplinary problems, then I think that looks great on the balance sheet as well. So, yeah, you know, and from his point of view, he, like Sue said, I think it's clear, isn't it, that he, you know, and it's fair play to him. You know, if you're in Paris and you're playing with Neymar and Kylian Mbappe, and Mauricio Pochettino as your manager,
yeah,
you're going to league titles and challenging for Champions Leagues, then you're not going to want to come back here, are you, to be fair? So I think it makes sense for everyone if it was done. I think it's just a question of whether Everton sell now or wait until the summer and try and get a bit more.
Yeah, I think that's the interesting thing, isn't it? It's sort of, do you stick or twist now? Because we could, as you say, we could hold out, and, you know, his stock just rises even more. He scores more goals for them, and then we can ask for that bit more money from them or bring them back. And, you know, I think in that instance, we sort of hold all the cards. You know, he's our player. He's under contract to us. You know, we can sort of dictate how this move goes. But as you say, if Pochettino suddenly doesn't fancy him, he drops in form, Icardi comes back, then it could put it in doubt. And again, we could be stuck with a player who potentially doesn't really want to be here. Because I think I've seen from the goals he scored scored for PSG, he just looks more interested. I think I was listening to Subs Weekly with Adam Jones, and he said you were being harsh on him because he didn't look that interested at Everton. I know he didn't get many minutes, but the minutes that he did get, I don't think he did enough. For me, I think if it was a young player coming through the academy who was putting in, Tom Davis gets slaughtered for less. If it's a young player coming through the academy and putting in the sort of level of performance that he did, I don't think people will be happy either. So
yeah, I think the manager said as well, hasn't he? He only wants people who are going to, at the football club who want to be here. And I think I remember a similar situation early on when Klopp was at Liverpool, and they weren't playing Sacco for ages, and all the fans loved him. Like, why isn't he playing? And his discipline was bad, and he was thinking about moving on. And Klopp sort of said, well, if you don't want to be here, you're not fully invested in this, I'm not going to play it. And, at the time, it didn't really go down well with a lot of the supporters, but it was like, it was sort of like one of those initial building blocks you've got to put in place to cultivate a really good atmosphere around the place. And say what you want about them, they are, they're all in it together, they're all the same sort of mindset. And I just thought it was interesting, Sue, actually. What have you ever been in a situation like that where, listen, we're reading between the lines here with Kean, we don't know if he necessarily was in a huff or anything in the summer and wanted to go, but what's that like when you've got a player in your dressing room that's disinterested or doesn't quite want to be there? Does it have as big an effect on the rest of the squad as maybe us outside that football bubble tend to think it does?
It does. It was a great point what you said then. I think it's so important having that atmosphere and having that togetherness, and I think if you know that a player wants to go, because as teammates, don't you? He might have spoke about it, he might have, I don't know, you might have read it, you might underneath if they're not 100% there, and then they come on the field and it doesn't really look like they're giving their all. And again, there have been times, I've watched him come on and you think, this is your opportunity, go and grasp it, go and take that opportunity. And he hasn't run that extra yard, or he hasn't put in that extra little bit that you want to see. Then straight away as a player, you're thinking, just go. Why are you here? Why are you still part of the team if you don't want to be here, no matter how talented they are? So I can totally understand if you're a manager and, like Klopp said, maybe there was disciplinary issues, maybe there was other things, or maybe they just aren't interested. And I think it's so important to have that dressing room and have that togetherness. So yeah, I'm all for a player has to be happy and has to want to be there, because I think that just provides that togetherness that you need if you're going to keep progressing. So yeah, if he's happy at PSG, he seems to be obviously scoring, isn't he? Then yeah, I think it's in our hands, isn't it? Like you say, it is a gamble. Do you take the money now? Do you wait a little bit to see if he keeps progressing and keeps doing even better, and then you can put an extra, 5 or 10 million on there, or do you take your money and run? So it's a gamble, but it is in our hands, which is a good thing.
On the flip side, have you ever sort of been in a position where you're that player who wants to move on? I'm not saying you're going to go into the dressing room and cause all sorts of hassle, start chucking plates around and stuff like that. Have you ever been in a
sort of hard-hitting questions on here last?
Have you ever been in a position though where we've all been in a position where we're in a job and we're like, Christ, it's doing me head in here, I want to get off. So it's a totally natural thing for everyone. But how does it feel being in that position whereby you're thinking, do you know what, not right here now, it's not for me?
Yeah. See, the only thing that's it's quite similar was when I was at Tranmere, and Tranmere were doing okay, but for me to progress and get to the next level, I had to go and sign for a bigger side. And all my mates were there, and I'd grown up there. That was my first women's team, and I loved it. I loved the place. I loved the fans, and I didn't want to go, but I knew for my football reasons I had to go, and I went and signed for Leeds. And yeah, that was quite hard. That was because I knew that season that was probably going to be my last season, but I felt like I probably played even better because I wanted to, I wanted to leave on a high. I didn't want to be just going through the motions and just thinking, oh, well, it's all right, I'm getting off at the end of the season. So I felt like I left on good terms, and I felt like I left giving my all. So I didn't really, maybe it's slightly different, isn't it? The sort of Kean situation, with he's in a different country, isn't he? Has he settled? Has he adapted? So I suppose that's slightly different.
But by the same token, I suppose he's come in from Juventus, who, elite level Italian club, Champions League all the time. He's come to Everton, who are basically mid-table fodder. Certainly were last season when he came in anyway. Ancelotti's come in and it's all changed. The perception about, or our perception of the club's changed anyway. So for him to go back to another elite level club, challenge for titles in Champions League, you can kind of see that if he's looking at it from his career perspective, maybe he doesn't want to spend a couple of years trying to get Everton to this point when he could go to another club and already be at that point and do his own career, arguably a lot better. So it does translate like that. I suppose I've never really looked at it from the player's point of view in that respect, that in his head, this isn't where he wants to be in his career. I think I thought about that more with, say, Alan when he came in, thinking, he's sort of approaching 30 now. Does he want to be the player at a club who's vying to get to that stage when he could be more or less there? But I suppose young players go through that as well.
The one thing I'd probably try and put myself in his position, and it's great the thought of going there and playing there regularly. The one thing I'd probably say that I'd be worried about if I was him is that if it did, say, Icardi stayed and Mbappe stayed and signed a new contract this summer, and all of a sudden you're the third choice striker for the team that plays one through the middle and two wingers, then all of a sudden, maybe a year down the line, you're moving on loan somewhere again, and then you've got to come back, and then you've got to try and find somewhere again. And we're looking at a position where he could be 22 and they've had 4 clubs already. I think he had a spell on loan away from Juventus as well. And I think that instability earlier in your career can't be good. I think of a player like Alvaro Morata, who's been like round the houses at like so many massive clubs in Europe already. And I think he's like 26, and it's only just now when he's gone to Juventus for the second time, which is mad. But he seems to be settled and finally matured and be able to deal with that, because that instability earlier in his career just seemed to mean that every time he made a step forward and something went badly for him, he'd move on and move on and move on, and he couldn't settle anywhere. So maybe that's the one thing I'd probably be wary of if I was Kean, that you don't want to be that lad that just gets loaned out, you come back, loaned out again, come back, sold, go somewhere else. It's important to get some stability at this point in his career, I think.
Yeah, I think also he suffers from the form of Dominic Calvert-Lewin, which I don't think anyone really saw coming, that he would be that good. We thought he would have been more interchangeable, but it was just a bit of bad luck on his behalf. Everton will continue to listen to offers for Yannick Bolasie, Cenk Tosun, John Joe Kenny and Mo Besic. Can't believe Mo Besic is still at Everton. That's
a mad one, that,
yeah. And possible players in Isco and Sami Khedira. Those names are still floating around. Where does anyone stand on that? I think the Khedira one seems a bit iffy to me. I think it's been something with his injury record.
Yeah, I think that's what I was thinking there. It's his age, isn't it? It's his injury record. You can't doubt how good he is and the experience that he's got. And when I first seen it, I thought, he could be another body coming in, another, to add to the sort of strength in depth, or I suppose the depth that Everton have. Whether it's strong, I don't know, but they've got a decent depth in that midfield area. Bringing in someone with that winning mentality, will some of the younger players learn from him? But it's the injury record. Can you keep him fit? I think that's probably my main concern, and his age, and how long is he going to come for? So I'm not keen, if I'm honest. I'm not overly keen on that one. But if it means it's an extra body in it, we know that he's certainly got the quality, and it's a short term. Would it be worth it? I don't know.
Yeah,
it's a tricky one, isn't it?
I think 6 months would be the go of it, really. But he wouldn't sign for that, because someone like him with his profile, he's going to have offers from America, he's going to have offers from China as well. There'll be teams that will want to give him a longer deal. It's just whether he thinks, maybe like a 6 months with an option for a year or something like that. I don't know the intricacies of how these things work, but I said this on the weekly show last night, that when I was looking at his injury history, I went to Transfer Market and it said page 1 of 4 at the top. So, I was like, yikes. Oh, no. I know he's been injury prone, but he's had a lot of injuries as well. It's not just things to do with he had an issue with his heart a couple of years ago as well, didn't he? Where he had to have something done on that. So it's not just the physiological things as well. It's he's had a bit of a rough time in general throughout the last couple of years. Not played a competitive game since June. Probably not for me unless you can get him on a really short term deal. But I imagine someone of his age, 33, looking for that one last big contract. He seems to have MLS written all over him to me.
Yeah, why wouldn't you, to be honest?
Yeah.
I do.
Isco.
Well, saying that, watching the news last night, maybe not America. Isco is one I'd be more willing to take a gamble on, because this is a player who 2 years ago was one of the best midfield players in the world. Similar sort of situation to James, but probably if you look at Isco's career and you say where he was at his absolute best compared to where James was at his absolute best, the time is shorter for Isco than it was for James. Rodriguez was probably 2014-15 when he was at his absolute pomp, and Everton have got him now and he's doing well still, but he's not the player he was, admittedly. Isco, it wasn't that long ago at all. I remember a game where Spain beat Germany. Was it Germany? They won a match 6-0. Not the one recently they won 6-0. It was a different one. And he scored a hat-trick. And I remember doing the report on it, and he was unbelievable. Just playing all over the pitch. Like, technical ability, incredible. Couldn't get the ball off him. And at that point, it was like, right, we're building the Spain team around him now for the next few years as he goes into his pomp. And it's not quite worked out for him in that sense. But if we're going to gamble on a player like, coming down from a team like Real Madrid or Juventus in this window, who could potentially give us that little bit extra to go and push onto the top four, I'd be all for something like that. I think he's a wonderful player to watch. Maybe not but probably works a bit harder than James off the ball, I'd say, playing in a few more positions, he's a bit more versatile. But yeah, if we're going to gamble on anyone in January, it'd probably be him for me.
Yeah, I think something this month's shown as well, the sort of last month, December through to the West Ham game, is the chances are a bit of a premium at the minute, aren't they? We're not creating many chances. I think sort of when it all settled down after the sort of the disappointment of the West Ham game getting beaten, if you look at it, the performance wasn't that different to, beating Leicester, beating Arsenal, beating Chelsea. It's just those games went for us. So I suppose another creative player in there, that's kind of more what we need.
Yeah, and that's exactly what he can do. I didn't actually know about Isco until you just said that, but yeah, what a player. And I think you said 2 years ago when he was absolutely flying, and I think everybody thought he was going to keep going, and for whatever reason that hasn't happened. He's had a few injuries, hasn't he, as well?
Yeah, it's just I think it can happen at those massive clubs, can't it, in Spain, where sometimes you can just fall out of favour because they make so many signings, and you've got to be seen to be signing the next hot prospect year after year after year after year. That sometimes you just get pushed down the pecking order just because you're not the new hot thing in Madrid or Barcelona. So
yeah,
but Zidane loved him when he was during his when he won the Champions League 3 times in a row. He got him in the side a lot. I remember he started one of those finals and was excellent. Came off the bench in the other 2 and turned the game in his favour in those games as well. So yeah, I don't think it was too long ago. He was one of the best midfield players in the world. So I wouldn't be turning my nose up at him.
Yeah,
definitely. Should we look at the Rotherham game?
Yeah.
So that's obviously the midday kickoff on Saturday. It's nice to not be playing the Reds in this round again, isn't it?
Oh, you know what? I had to do that game on Sky as well.
Oh,
that was so tough. That was I was a last minute calling, and was you? Oh no.
I was on the front row when Curtis Jones lobs that one, and you just see me sort of go backwards like that.
Well, I had to go, what a goal from Curtis Jones.
No.
Couldn't believe it. I was like, because I thought this is brilliant. I'm doing the derby, massive chance of winning, getting through to the next round, knocking out Liverpool. No, just wasn't my day.
So that was all awful. Set up nicely.
Yeah, it was. But so yeah, hopefully it's a little bit better than that one.
We played them a lot at this round, haven't we?
Yeah. Well, I still maintain that Sigurdsson goal, that's the best celebration I've ever been in. That's the best away end.
I'm still lost.
I know. Talking about, that was never a penalty either on the Lana. Absolutely no chance.
I can't even remember it.
I've scratched every memory apart.
Anyway, if you think we're bad in the FA Cup, get on this about Rotherham. They have won 6 FA Cup games in 19 years.
Oh my word.
That is even worse than us. They didn't win a single FA Cup game between 2002 and 2009. Although we probably weren't that far behind, to be honest. So they've had 6 wins in 19 years.
Oh, God. That's brilliant.
They run to the third round. Last campaign was just the second time they'd won more than one game in a season since 2000, 2001. That FA Cup record's not great.
This is the ultimate putting the mockers on us, this, isn't it?
It is, I know.
That's my job on this show. We've only been beaten by them. Well, we've been beaten by them twice. One was in the League Cup, 1992, the first leg, second round, but we 3-0 at home, so that doesn't really count. One of the few teams who've beaten us in the second division as well. A 1-0 defeat in 1952. But yeah, the last game we played, it was comfortable 3-1 home win in League Cup round 2. How do you see this one going? How do you reckon we'll settle for this one, Sue? Do you reckon there'll be lots of changes, or?
No, I was supposed to do Rotherham actually at the weekend against Cardiff, and it got called off. So I know a little bit about Rotherham, and the form hasn't been good at the moment, has it? I think it's 1 in 9. I think they've won. They concede loads from set pieces. They've had so many players missing through like injuries, and then it was COVID, wasn't it? So looking at it, you think it should be quite an easy game for Everton, but they never are they? So I think having Wolves, is Wolves Tuesday or Wednesday? No, it's midweek, isn't it?
I'm not sure exactly what day it is, but it's
no.
Yeah.
So you would say
about 2 days ago when Matt said.
So you would say there'd be rotation, but I hope not too many. I'd love us to just go, convince him, win. Get back to a little bit of confidence. After the West Ham game and take that into the Wolves game. So yeah, I'm hoping not too many. James, I don't know. Would you start him? Give him a little bit more game time, or would you just protect him, wrap him up in cotton wool? I don't know.
Yeah. It's a funny one, isn't it? You don't want him getting volleyed everywhere by
I know.
Yeah. I always do this. Like I'm exactly like Sue. I always say, I don't want to see too many changes, and then I sort of go through the team in my head and I go, well, I want Nkunku to play at left back.
Yeah.
I want Godfrey to play centre half. And I want Anthony Gordon to get a game. And I wouldn't mind Tom getting a rest. You think by the time you've gone through that, it's like I've made like 7 changes in my head there. What the team's going to be. I think he'll be relatively strong. I think he might play James on Saturday and then have him on the bench against Wolves.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just sort of, get him back into the swing of things this weekend, and then go to Wolves with the idea of being dead hard to beat and being in the game on 70 and then bringing him on. And hopefully it won't be like when he came on against West Ham and clearly was not fit at all. It'll be like, there's a lad with some training and a game under his belt there, and he could be a difference maker for us in what should be a tight game. So it wouldn't surprise me if he went like that. I think Richarlison, I'll probably play him up front.
Yeah, I think that'd be the change for me.
Get him as close to the goal as possible and hopefully get a smile back on his face, because he looks moody at the moment, doesn't he?
Yeah, he does. Really does.
I think, I'll probably play Gordon, Richarlison, Rodriguez from free. Decore could probably do with a rest as well, although he'd never looked like Leeds one, because he's played pretty much everything. Coleman right back. Probably off.
Tom Davis in midfield as well.
Probably about 5 or 6 changes. Olsen will probably come in goal, won't he? So
yeah.
I think if you play that front three, you can get you can box this one off quite early, and then you can just sort of think about Wolves then. But I was speaking to Ben from the Rotherham United. Although we've got our Rotherham correspondents on here, and Sue Smith.
I only had them 3 stats. That was it. That's me. Yeah. That's all the stats gone.
He was sort of saying that they're so ravaged by injuries and COVID that he thinks they're going to play. They might bring a team of kids up here and he basically said, he did say to me, I don't want us to win this game because we need to focus on staying up. So that's where their mindset is at it. So absolutely no excuses for Everton at all.
No, not at all. I think that if they concede goals from set pieces, is there a case for playing Michael Kean to get him on the score sheet, or definitely rest him? Play Godfrey and maybe, or
apparently he missed the West Ham game, but he's on the bench, only on the bench. He had a hamstring problem, so
don't risk him then.
Yeah, probably leave him out. Just
So what about centre backs then? Yeah, he needs
Godfrey play there at last.
What's that?
Honestly, Godfrey giving a go at centre backs. He's played everywhere else.
Bless him. He actually has, hasn't he? Left back, right back.
Yeah.
Part of a back three, but he's done so well, hasn't he? But I would like to see him at centre half.
Yeah. Would you play with Holgate? Or would that be a bit too risky?
I think that could work. That's sort of like that's like the sexy centre-back pair, isn't it? I think Kean's like your realistic, sensible one. But if you want like two lads who are quick and, look the business and are great on the ball and can carry it out, then those two, Holgate and Godfrey are very much it, aren't they? So I think you'll probably pick one and then one of the other ones. Sexy and sensible.
Yeah.
That'd be like Franz Beckenbauer and Bobby Moore at the back, that wouldn't
it? You made that comparison, not me.
I'm not one to get ahead of myself. We'll win the double though, by the way. So I've asked for some score predictions in the Blue Room group. Mark Mosey said most obvious shite game going, 1-0 to the Prem. So Mark's looking forward to this. Kate said 2-0 Toffees, and Adam said 2-1 Everton. Sue, what do you reckon?
I'm going 3-0.
3-0.
Confidence.
Yeah. Clean sheet would be nice as well, wouldn't it?
That would be nice. Definitely. Yeah.
Yeah. Back on that one. Matt?
I'm going to go 4-0 Anthony Gordon to get his first goal.
Oh, that would be nice.
That would be lovely as well.
It'd be nice, yeah.
All right, I'm going to go 5-0 Richarlison hat-trick.
Yeah.
And if that doesn't put a smile on his face, nothing will.
You might get a little smirk. That's about it, I think.
Yeah. Possibly. He's the moodiest looking player going, even when he's doing well and enjoying it.
He's just arguing with the manager all the time at the moment. He's just like constantly having a scrap. I don't know what's going on with them too. But like, I was at that Chelsea game and it got overlooked a bit because we won. But for 10 minutes, they were just back and forth with each other. In the end, Ancelotti sort of went, "Do you want to come off then, or what?" He just got on. It was so mad, but yeah.
It is funny that he gave him the choice, though, isn't
it? Yeah.
So it's like, I suppose that kind of shows the sort of the player that he is, though, isn't it? That even if he's got a gob on and he's not playing particularly well, he could do something just out the blue, off the cuff kind of thing, and that's what we've been missing from him this whole. Well, since he came back, really, since he scored at Leicester, he had a good game there, but it's been a bit iffy since. So this could be a good opportunity for him, I think.
He'll be sound. I think looking at the game against West Ham in isolation, he got clobbered, didn't he? 5 or 6 days earlier. We followed the concussion protocol, but that could easily knock the stuffing out of you. That, and understandably, if you're coming back into a game, you might be a bit hesitant and a bit rusty and off it. So give him the benefit of the doubt. Yeah, he's still absolutely one of our most important players. As much as I've seen a few people on Twitter saying sell him.
No way.
Bizarre, isn't it?
I know.
Sue, where will you be watching the game on Saturday?
Do you know, I'm actually working, so I'll try and get the first half in, and then I might listen to the second half going into work. So, yeah. So I'll hopefully, I think it'll be 3-0 in the first half, so I'll see all the goals. And then, so it doesn't matter, job done, take the players off, rest them. Happy days. I'm always really positive, though.
What about me?
What about you? Were you watching it just in the house with the Friday?
Can't go anywhere else, can we?
Oh my God, that's true. I've completely forgotten. We can't do anything, can we?
Climb on the top of the top balcony or something like that.
Something like that. Oh, well, I thought, having your sort of contacts in the club, I thought you might have got a ticket or something. I don't know. And on that bombshell, we will leave it. Thanks for coming on. Always a pleasure. Have a good weekend, Sue. Hope work's not too bad.
Oh, thank you very much. Thanks for having me on.
Matt, enjoy the lockdown life until I speak to you next time.
See you later.